There we go. Yeah, this stuff's a pain, and the place is a pain in the arse to get into. And you got to get there like an hour and a half before they open, and stand in line, and because they're short-handed on staff, I got to drive. It's about a 35-minute drive to the place. I've already been to the other place. They have another clinic that's closer to Philadelphia. It's closer to me. It's probably about 7 miles away. That I went to one time, but it was a 4-hour wait last week when I went in the morning. So I went back at lunchtime, still a 4-hour wait. So, all because nobody wants to work. People are calling out. They can't fill the seats, fill butts, find butts for the seats, so yeah, it's a shame, because I'm trying to, I might be getting hopefully, fingers crossed, trying to get a new position at a new shop, so a little better gig. So I'm just trying to do what I have to do for all the pre-employment stuff, but everything seems to be fighting me, so I got to spend the day doing that tomorrow. I got to drive to New Jersey tomorrow, so that's the story on that. Ranger blew up the other night. The shunt, was it SH3, one of the shunt resistors, a 20 ohm shunt resistor, grenaded, and when right as I keyed the transmitter, the thing went pow, and then the meter switch went fry and light on fire, and then the slow blows fuse finally blew. So in the process of replacing the meter switch at the moment, but maybe you can enlighten me on a way to prevent that in the future. WA1HLR, W3. Apparently, wait, real quick. Apparently, I was talking to Jerry, formerly K9GAS, KE9U, and I guess same thing happened to him with his Ranger. Apparently, and which is why he did what he did to his. I guess he solid stated the whole thing, his whole Ranger. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but that's a story on that. Back to you, Tim. W3MMR.
Wow. First of all, the clinic. What you have to go to the clinic for?
I got to take a whiz quiz and a DOT physical.
Oh, they still test you?
Yeah, well, but I'll be all right. 2 thumbs up.
God. Well, all right. Yes. The 20 ohm resistor, what's that, like a shunt across the meter switch for something?
Well, it's a shunt to ground. It's a part of the meter switch. It's SH3, I think. I want to say that's the designation.
What position is that? Grid current or driver current or something like that?
I want to say grid current, but I don't know off the top of my head, Tim. I'm scrambling here to try to find a schematic.
So the transmitter's meter, the multimeter, is not damaged? It didn't blow apart?
No, No, the meter itself is fine. It's just the switch itself, the little tabs, I guess, I don't know what position, the tabs that burn up on there, but, the little tabs that clasp onto the actual wafer, 2 of those went bye-bye.
All right, well, one thing that I generally do is take a set of diodes, like your general purpose, like 1N4007s or whatever, and put 2 of them back to back, and put that right across the meter. And that will prevent you from ever blowing up the meter if the fit hits the sham.
Yeah, I got tons of those. I can do that. Yeah, I don't want to, because I only have 1 extra meter here, man. Somebody needed one, and I made a trade. So the last thing I want to do is blow up an unobtainium meter. trying to pull up this schematic here, but yeah, man, it went pow, ping, pow, poom. It was on the old Milrad net the other morning. That's when it happened. It was like my third transmission, and the thing was running. It's been running great. The thing's been working awesome. But it went boom. Yeah, I'm scanning the manual right now to try to find the schematic.
Yeah, okay. Well, I've never had that happen, but, you know, these things do happen and stuff does blow up. But, with my, original, well, I wouldn't call it my original Ranger, but the one I've had the longest time, which is, I acquired it in 90. Actually, I did it up in the 80s for, a buddy of mine, Roger, K1MBX, who I think is still with us. I think he's down in the Carolinas. And, you know, it's the one I did the competition class stock eliminator Ranger article was around that one, where I went resistance coupling, you know, simple phase inverter circuit, 6550s in the modulator, and I had a relay that was activated when you put it in the tune position, because typically the screen of the PA tube is shorted to ground, and I used that to pull in a relay, double pole, double throw relay coil, in which one pole switched between the high and the low voltage to feed the bottom of the secondary of the mod transformer. And the other pole was used to reapply screen voltage to the modulator, which is all fine and well, but keeping full voltage up on the modulator, you know, you have far more audio available than what you need, and it's very easy to overmodulate. And especially with a stock iron, things work a whole lot better if you reduce the modulator voltage with the PA. So I've come up with a whole new methodology. But when I upgraded mine to what I call the next gen mods, where the low voltage rectifier goes through a set of the relay contacts that are now in line going to the input of the high voltage filter reactor. So when you go to low power, the flow of electrons from the high voltage rectifier to the input of the filter reactor gets interrupted. And I have steering diodes from the cathodes of the low voltage rectifier to feed the input of the filter reactor. So actually all you really need is just a single pole relay and not two poles. I just left that pole in there just for the hell of it. So that was one of the mods. And then when I got into it, I looked at the, function switch, was kind of intermittent, where you'd have to switch back and forth. So I took it out and replaced it with a much larger ceramic, I think 6-position 2-pole switch. So that's what I would do, is just replace the damn thing, because it's underrated to begin with, and you don't want to, and phenolic tends to break down, where ceramic doesn't. So simple, I think 5 or 6-pole or 6-position 2-pole switch would be the way to go.
Okay, W3MMR. It's definitely SH3, but it's looking like that comes off right off the VFO. It's like it goes over to the buffer, to the 6CL6, to V3. That's what it looks like. It's right off of, yeah. I don't know, Tim. You'd know much better than me. But that wouldn't, I don't know why that would grenade. You know? I don't know. Would have to do some more digging. But that would be, it's, you know, that's obviously a good idea to beef it up some. Because I don't, it's not going anywhere. It's, you know, I plan on keeping it for quite a while. I love it. I love using that goddamn thing, man. It drives the amplifier just right. It you know, it sounds decent. You know, it was working fine. It was stable. It was everything. So you know, I worked the kinks out of it. I'm only even running it for a frickin' what, a month, 2 months. So I got a long way to go with it. That's the story on that. You're still holding up real well, man. As the time ticks by, the band continues to improve. WA1HLR, W3MMR.
Okay, fine. W3MMR. Okay. From WA1HLR, Henry LR. My wife just turned the fan off. Yep. Nice and quiet in here now. Yeah, just, you know, cooking, you know, and smoke gets in the air, you know, and the smoke alarms are beeping away, you know, and you open up windows at one end and hang the fan in the doorway in the suck mode and just blow the pull the air through and clean things out. Yeah, I know. Yeah, there's AM QSO on 7290, and there's some idiot on Slop Bucket bellowing out CQ. Yeah, I almost went to 40. You know, I've been banging around here a little bit. It's just amazingly quiet here tonight, so I figured I would sully the frequency. You know. Yep. Well, I've always been very partial to the Ranger transmitter, but there's so many shortcomings that need to be fixed. But once they're fixed, you have yourself a good little transmitter. There's a number of times where I'm on in the daytime and more closer in the local work. I'll use the Ranger, and I've got an HQ110 that's married up to it, along with a Viking 2 CDC. That's another, it's a station pod, where the pod I'm on now makes use of the BC342 as a receiver and the Globe Chunk, and also my TCS set. I gotta get an R13 up and running again, and you know, that's about 100 watts out, so I could either use that or use this. But I've come to like this thing tremendously. So there's the story. But yeah, you know, I've had meltdowns on Rangers before many, many, many years ago, and the best thing to do is to look for all the pitfalls and try and fix them so they don't fix you. This WA1HLR.
Dragging my foot. Yeah, amen. Well, I was thinking, you know, I didn't want to do it with the DX100, but I was thinking about doing it with the Ranger. Was just shoving my rack gear into the mic jack and seeing what the hell it sounded like. But then I was like, well, maybe I could just drive the grids of the 1614s, but I need an audio output amplifier. You know, turn it around, hook it up backwards. Is that like modified Heising or whatever they call it with a capacitor? And but can't you go in right at the mic at the octal plug on the back of the Ranger? Isn't there pretty much quote unquote access to what you would need to do back there? Go ahead.
Oh yeah, and that's with an external modulator, eh?
That's yes, sir.
Well, what you're gonna do? Take a solid state amp and a high fidelity D output transformer?
Yeah, they make it's not a Dynaco. It's similar specs. My father sent me the link to it. But yes, do it that way. Use a solid state amp.
Yep. Well, so you could use, piss away a lot of money and get a Hammond single-ended audio output, high fidelity D single-ended output transformer, and that's damn good iron. And that'll handle the DC. Or if you wind up with a more readily available transformer designed for push-pull, then you have to use a modulation reactor to take the DC current off of it. And in that case, you're probably going to want to have 40 or 50 Henrys worth of inductance. You could probably get away with 30. So you take three 10 Henry filter reactors of the smoothing variety and wire them in series, and there's your modulation reactor.
Okay. Yeah, it was a... it's probably the same Hammond transformer you're talking about. It was a Hammond output transformer. I just don't know the model number off the top of my head. I have it I had the link somewhere, but I guess that's the way kind of the way my father did his T150, which I've been trying to convince him to get back on the air, but he's been thinking about it. But like I said, I mean, I was just thinking about shoving it right in the mic jack and seeing how it sounded. I know obviously things are limited, very limited as far as low end response and distortion, headroom, all of those things. But just to see what it sounded like, to be honest. It's because I'm bored.
Boredom sets in. Time for some creativity. Out of curiosity, what transmitter are you on with the night?
Oh, I'm on my SDR. I'm on the ANAN, as the guys of the Midwest say. I'm on the Anon. I'm on the, turn it on, plug a mic into it, and make yourself sound bad. I mean, you can't sound bad on these things unless you kind of make yourself sound bad on them.
Yeah, well, I've seen quite a few people that don't set SDR gear up right. Quite a few flexes that, they have the audio defaulted to, in response from 200 to 3,000 cycles. It's like, come on, why? Or they don't have the levels right, so there's distortion, and yours is, sounding really good. Well, my receiver, let me see how it happens. Okay. I've got one of these Radio Shack, two of these speaker selector boxes, and one of them is full hard. Yeah. I gotta have 2 switches up to get audio to go. You know, it's one after another, and then trying to take care of what I needed to take care of. Actually, I did very well as far as, you know, connecting with people and getting equipment going to directions where it had to go. And I was just worried about making connections, but everything worked out really good. And I got some really neat gets. So, and then a lot of stuff for free. So I came back with more than what I went down with. But then again, for BCQ, I've got an RF section for you know, that was used as a 250 watt HF transmitter that I can use with the existing power supply and modulator and transmitter that Alan already has that's in the broadcast pad. So I'm going to make the thing into an HF transmitter that'll work on a number of different bands. The RF section covers 2 to 2 to 26 megs, and you'll look in the calibration book, they say 2 to 27, and there's actually, you know, almost out to 30 megs. And it has a pair of 4-65s in the PA rather than a pair of 811s, or rather 812s. So that thing's in the car, so I got to make a run to Monticello in the next week or so and just go up there and drop all the stuff off, and then eventually I'll be into a transmitter project up there.
Yeah, that's a good place to do it, because, you know, when you're up there, well, you need to...
I'm back, Tim.
Yeah.
Hey, sorry about that. My freaking power supply took a shit. Crap, excuse me. I'm running... Good evening, Bruce. I have, I went and, was like, yeah, I'm gonna buy these nice Jetstream solid-state power supplies. They're super quiet, switching power supplies from DX Engineering. Expensive. And, the thing... like, it'll just shut off out of nowhere, and the LED light on the front will be real dim, and the damn see, I'm doing more power now. See, something's up with that power supply now. Like, anyway, the thing just craps out, and I thought I had it fixed because it was fine for 3 or 4 days, and then all of a sudden, Tim, while you're in the middle of your transmission, boom, gone. So I rushed and I got a 35 amp Astron, big ass iron core power supply, threw that back on the shelf, hooked it up real quick, and got back on. So here we are.
With a real transformer.
Yeah, that sucker's heavy, man.
I don't know, this whiz-bang modern stuff is nice, but then when it lets you down, it lets you down.
Well, I mean, this Astron, it's nice. I got it in trade for like next to nothing, for like a CB amplifier and something else that I got for nothing. And it's the one with the 2 meters on the front and adjustable amperage and adjustable voltage, current and voltage. So, and I backlit the meters. I got green LEDs in the meters and stuff. So, yeah, it's old faithful, man. I've had it forever.
Very alien.
What is that? Is that like the RS-35M or something like that?
It's the VS-35M.
Yeah. Variable one. So, is the voltage and current adjustment from the front panel accessible, or is the one I have is 35 amp supply? And there's voltage adjustment on the back.
Nah, this is right on the front, right under the meters. Big old knobs. It's really nice. The voltage pot, it's dirty. I need to replace the pot or spray some no-ox in it, or deoxid in it, but excuse me. It like when you go to turn the voltage up, it'll go up to almost 50. It'll go up to I think 14.9. That's what it'll go up to. Once you start getting up towards the end of its range at the top end, it starts, like the power will drop way back, and the thing will start clicking on and off and crap. Man, you fire that thing up, you hear a big cone. The thing almost needs a soft start.
Yep, well, the 35 amp one I inherited the 706 and the Astron supply from a buddy of mine, my oldest friend, longest friendship, and we reconnected after 20 years of losing track of each other, maybe 25. It's more like it. And when he graduated 8th grade, and I did, he went to parochial school, and I went to, into 9th grade at a public school in Hamilton, Mass. It was really good. And we talked about getting our ham licenses, but both he and I were horrible when it came to trying to learn CW, so he never learned it, and I did. Well, we used to go to the dump together and strip old TV sets and radios and whatnot for parts, tubes and whatever, it's like every Saturday I'd pedal my ass down to his place and then we'd load up. So I think around 2000, I don't know, 7 or so, I get this email, Timmy, is that you? So I was like, wow. What rock has he been hiding under? Oh, poot. And he was living in Derry, New Hampshire. And we just picked up where we left off, and we got together on a project. This time removing, stripping down a broadcast transmitter that I had salvage rights to, along with Keith, WA1HLR, and Brent, provided the transportation. So Keith got one of the transmitters, and I got the other. Couldn't get them out the door, so they had to be stripped down, and then I had to cut the cabinets up with the sawzall that I brought along in order to get everything out of the building, because that was the deal. They had to be removed in their entirety. So, and then I told him that you don't need to pass a Morse code test to get your ham license. So he immediately went out and got his tech license. Then later on, he he went to Nearfest, I think for the first time, and he took the genital class and passed it, and I took the extra and passed it. So we celebrated. But as he got his ham license and started getting into HF, he asked me, what do I suggest for a does-everything, compact piece of gear? So I suggested the 706. So we ran out and bought one of them and a Astron power supply for it, all that. So a few years later, he was dealing with cancer, and that's what took him out. It was pretty sad seeing him deteriorate. So his widowed wife gave me the rice blocks on the power supply, which I set up here at my operating position. And well, the 706 crapped out and has been dead for a while, and a buddy of mine fixed it. And the Astron supply, the on-off switch crapped out. So I cut out the hole and put a larger, higher current rocker switch in there. And I put a step-start circuit with a series resistor and a relay across the output of the supply. So as things ramp up, the surge current is limited by the resistor, and then click, the relay pulls in, and all is right with the world. The other thing I was in question of is you have a reasonable amount of filter capacity ahead of the regulator, and then the regulator doesn't have that much capacity across it. So I put another capacitor in there of much higher value across the output of the supply. Another thing I noticed about it is that when the supply was running, and under a bit of a load, and had another receiver on, I could hear a buzz. Yes, the supply generates noise from the fact that the power supply is, brute force cap input. So I wound up putting a bifilar inductor in line with the AC and a couple of bypass condensers to case ground, and that cleaned it up. So that supply is up in the bunker. I haven't used it in a while, and on my little rice box I have this Astron 10 amp supply that was at the shop out in Marcellus, New York, where Jamie and Kevin work. And it was kicking around, and I fiddle-fartled around with it. As a 2N3055 was a pass transistor, and that was crapped out. So I stuck another one in there, and the thing worked, and I used that for a while. I've got a Yaesu FT301. I don't know if you know what that is, but It's Yaesu's first attempt at a solid-state rice box. And they had two different models. They had the Nipponese, low-power model, because in Japan, I think the more entry-class license, you're limited to 10 watts. So that's what it made. And then there was the export model, which had a brick on the back to make 100 watts out. It was the U.S. market. Well, I had one of the low-powered ones. Put an AM filter in it and dorked around with the audio and got it working very well. And I had that with a Junction Courier linear amplifier, which is a pair of 811s, grid-driven, so it doesn't take a whole lot. So that was one of my station setups. I had that in my bedroom where I was staying. Oh, there you go. So when I came home, that supply, I don't know what I did, but something crapped it out. And it banged around for years, so I completely redid the thing using the housing with a very simple power supply with a particular transformer I picked up in a Hamfester for like $3. And that's all it is, just a cap input filter, just the diodes, the transformer, and one of these automotive audio fool capacitors, a half a farad. That's 16 volts. So I put that in there, and that's it. On the step-start circuitry and fusing and all that, because the half a farad will store a lot of energy. So, and that's what I use on the rice box. Regulation is not super, but it's plenty good enough. Doing, Perry, you get bored and you do things. Speaking of getting bored, Bruce, are you bored yet with this? WL7B from WA1HLR. I think he got bored and went to a borery.
Yeah, I think so. No, I get bored and do a lot of things, man. I gotta stay busy, so I don't get in my head, So, I do projects around the house, and my father's always like, man, I don't know how people, they're always doing stuff to their houses, and they're always fixing this and remodeling that, or this, that, blah, 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 blah. I don't want to do none of that. Everything looks like I want it, and blah, blah. I'm just like, I don't know. I could see how, because, I don't know, I get bored, man. I'm like, all right, what can I do next, Which usually gets me in trouble with the radio. Usually gets me in trouble with this radio scrap. You know what I mean? Is me getting bored. I'm like, oh, let me try this. This sounds like a great idea. Talk myself into it at 7:30 at night. Like, yeah, this is an awesome idea. All right, Tim, I'm going to run too, man. I'm going to get in the other room. I got a long day ahead of me tomorrow. I got to go start my day. I got to leave here probably around 6. And I want to get up early and get on the air and operate before I go. And all that fun stuff there, Tim, so... Anyway, it's always a pleasure, man. You've been coming in great the entire time. Band's been relatively quiet. A little louder tonight than it has been, but still in good shape, OM. Anyway, Tim, we'll catch you next time. We'll be listening out for the remainder. And stay cool, or stay warm, excuse me. It's been chilly down here, man. It was like 40 degrees when I woke up this morning, so I'm sure it's cold up there. They're saying we might have an early onset of winter this year. So we'll see what happens. WA1HLR 7-3 from W3MMR.
I hope there's no early onslaught of winter. Hey, before your supply crapped out, did you get what I said about feeding, how to do line level input to your Ranger?
Unfortunately, no, I did not.
Yeah, what I was going to say is you mount up either an RCA jack or a quarter-inch jack on the back. And you run a chunk of shielded cable to your audio gain pot. Braid the ground center conductor to the top side of the pot. So when you feed your typical solid-state audio in there with a very low source impedance, the fact that you have the first half of the 12AX7 connected to that pot through a coupling cap has zero effect. So that's what I do with all my transmitters. Every single transmitter in here, pretty much. There are a couple of exceptions like the TCS set. Like my Valiant, the Junction 600, the Exciter Class Ranger, my other Ranger 2 that I've got that I was describing. I go directly to the audio gain pot. And if something craps as far as the audio processing, all you just do is unplug it and plug the D10-4 in, and you're off to the races again.
Oh my God. Well, that's easy peasy lemon squeezy. Well, that's a no-brainer. You know, I'll just do it that way. That's easy. I got the thing on the bench right now. I have 1,000 RCA jacks in the bin. You know, so. Well, thanks, Tim, as always. We'll keep you in the loop on what's going on with it, you know. And we'll catch you next time. It's always a pleasure, man. Say hi to Marcy for me. We'll catch you guys later. 7-3, WA1HLR, W3MMR is clear.
Yeah, okay, Perry, I was going to ask you a bunch of questions about other mods, but some of the time the thing is you may have it apart for a little while, so maybe in the next couple of days we'll engage each other on a one-on-one. So, I'll see you later, Mun. Have a high fine business kind of night. And good luck in the cornhole test. That being the contest of life. See you later. This is WA1HLR.
Yeah, no problem, man. I'm starving, and once I get hungry, I have some what's called Barrett's esophagus, where when I get hungry or eat more, you know, this real spicy foods, I get like nauseous, you know. And it's like when I'm hungry, I gotta go and like go instantly. Or I feel like I'm gonna have to run to the restroom. So we'll catch you later, Tim. Yeah, it's gonna be on the. I'm not like working on this thing the next couple of days. Like this, it'll be on the bench for a little while. I got plenty of other rigs to use for now. So we'll catch up with you later, man. 7-3 W3MMR.
Later. Bruce, are you back?